After years of praying for a child, I finally got pregnant. But my husband snarled, "Don't think I'll celebrate. I never wanted this disaster." At a family dinner, he jeered, "Who knows if it's even mine? Ever heard of affairs and DNA tests?" His sister snorted, "That poor kid's doomed with her as a mom." I set down my fork, met his eyes and said, "You're right. This baby deserves better than a father like you." Then I stood up and walked away. Many years later, after I left with our child, he's desperate to see us again. You think you know betrayal? I was 6 months pregnant, finally daring to hope again when my partner, the man who supposedly wanted this baby as much as I did, chose to humiliate me in front of his entire family. But what happened next? Oh, it only got worse from there. Right now I'm shaking. I've been keeping this inside for weeks, but I'm too damn angry to hold it anymore. My phone is literally blowing up, full of texts from people who were at that dinner, acting like they have no clue why I, a 6-month pregnant woman, just casually walked out. As if I didn't have a reason. Let me tell you the full story. No sugarcoating. The first red flag looking back was how quiet Brandon was when I finally told him I was pregnant. We had been trying for years. Years, you guys. 2 miscarriages. 1 chemical pregnancy. I spent countless nights crying in bathrooms, in my car, even in grocery store aisles. We poured so much money into tracking apps, ovulation strips, vitamins that made me nauseous. He was there for all of it. Or so I thought. He was physically present. He said he wanted this. He'd hold me when a test came back negative, whispering, "We'll get there. We always do." So when I finally saw those 2 pink lines, I was trembling. My face hurt from smiling so hard. I waited a day just to be sure. Took for more tests. Even booked a blood test. And when I told him, I swear to God, he just blinked. No smile. No hug. Not even a simple, "Really?" Just a flat, emotionless, "Okay." I laughed. I thought he was in shock. "You're in shock, right?" I asked, desperation lacing my voice. He just looked at me. "I just need time to process," he said. And then he went right back to scrolling on his phone. I remember the screen. It was some Reddit thread about mechanical keyboards. I stared at it for too long, trying to fathom how that could possibly be more interesting than the news I had just delivered. The news we had both supposedly been waiting for. But I let it go. I told myself he was overwhelmed. People react weirdly. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he just needed time. But time kept passing. And nothing changed. No questions about my appointments. No gentle touches on my belly. No. "How are you feeling today?" If I brought up the baby, he'd change the subject. Or sometimes he'd just go quiet. Completely stone silent. It was so bizarre. I'm not even the gushy type about pregnancy, believe me. I was sick. Bloated. Tired. My back ached. I wasn't glowing, I was just surviving. And it felt like he was watching me do it from across a glass wall. One night I asked him directly, "Do you still want this?" His response, "I don't know what you want me to say." Then he walked out and went to play his games. Not even mad. Just done. I should have pushed harder right then, you know? But I was so exhausted. And honestly, I kept thinking something was wrong with me. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe he was just stressed. My mom said men don't always bond with the baby until it's born. My friend Elizabeth said it was probably just anxiety. So, I kept giving him the benefit of the doubt. And then came the dinner. Henley, his sister, invited us over. One of her family catch-up nights. She's one of those people who posts every meal like it's a food blog, always acting like the queen of hospitality. Her husband is whatever. The kids are loud but fine. His mom was there too, which was rare. She usually avoids drama. But she came that night. And now, I think that was intentional. I wore a dress I hadn't worn in a while, one that finally fit again. My bump was showing just enough to be cute. I curled my hair. I felt good. I thought stupidly maybe this would be the night Brandon would snap out of it. Like seeing me happy, surrounded by family, would make it real for him. God, I was so stupid. We got to the house. The awkwardness was immediate. Henley opened the door and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Wow, you're finally showing." I was starting to think it was a fake pregnancy or something. And then she laughed like it was a hilarious joke. I just smiled weakly and walked in. Brandon said nothing. Not even a "don't say that." We sat down. Small talk. Wine was poured for everyone. Not for me, obviously. They started talking about some trip they were planning for next year. Henley piped up. Guess you won't be able to come with a baby and all. And Brandon, my partner, the father of my child, looked at her and said, or without, depending on how things go. And then he laughed. A little snort. I looked at him. He looked away. My hands were on my lap, pressing my fingers into my thighs, trying to keep myself together. And then we started talking about baby names. I hadn't told anyone my ideas yet, but I mentioned just one that I liked. Henley snorted again. That sounds like a stripper name. I said nothing. I just looked at Brandon, waited. He didn't even flinch. And then he said it. And I swear to God, this is exactly what he said. And we don't even know if it's mine. Ever heard of cheating in DNA tests? His mom went absolutely pale. Henley, because she is truly evil, burst out laughing. And I just froze. It felt like I was watching a movie, like none of this could actually be happening. Henley, still laughing, added, that kid's doomed with her as a mother. I looked around. No one said a word. No one told them to stop. No one offered me comfort. So I put down my fork, pushed my chair back, stood up and looked directly at him. My voice was calm, steady, though my insides were screaming. You're right, I said. This child doesn't deserve a father like you. And then I turned and walked out. No one followed me. No one called my name. I walked to the car, got in and drove home. I haven't seen him since. That was 3 weeks ago. He texted once. Said I overreacted. Said he was joking and just trying to lighten the mood. I didn't reply. His mom texted too. Said she was sorry things got tense. And that family dinners can be stressful. She asked if I'd be open to clearing the air over lunch. I blocked her. My own mom is furious. She said if she had been there, she would have flipped the whole damn table. She offered to come stay with me, and I think I might let her. But here's the thing. I'm not sad. I am furious. How dare he treat me like this? After everything? After the years of trying, the loss, the pain? How dare he act like this baby is a burden or worse, a weapon to use against me in front of his family? I am carrying our child, and he humiliated me like it was a game. So no, I'm not sad. I'm done. I am going to raise this baby without him. I'm going to build a life that doesn't include a man who jokes about DNA tests and sits silent while his sister attacks me. I don't care if that makes me a single mom or whatever label people want to use. This baby will never have to wonder why their mom stayed with someone who treated her like she was disposable. And Brandon? He can sit with his little jokes and his silence and wonder why the room feels so empty now. I guess that's the part one can't stop thinking about. How quiet it got when I stood up. Like they all knew deep down that I was the only one willing to say what needed to be said. And now I'm making plans. I have an appointment next week to talk to someone about my options. Legally, financially, everything. And I don't want advice. I don't want anyone telling me. Give him a chance. He might change. I just needed to say it out loud. I am not going back. And if he ever wants to see me or this baby again, he better be ready to beg. Because I am not letting this go. Not this time. Okay, so if you read my last post, you already know what happened at that dinner. The one where Brandon humiliated me while I was 6 months pregnant. The one where his sister laughed and said my kid was doomed. The one where he made that disgusting crack about the baby not being his. Yeah, that dinner. I left. I walked out and I meant it. I was done. I cut off contact. Blocked his number, blocked his mom, blocked his demon sister. I moved in with my cousin Christy, who had a spare room, a mattress on the floor, and crucially a working air fryer. And I started figuring out what the hell my next move was going to be. I was still pregnant. Still tired. Still alone. But it was weirdly peaceful. And then he showed up. Not right away. Not even that week. But about 10 days later I started noticing weird stuff. One morning I went out to the parking lot, and there was a box sitting on the hood of my car. No note, just a box. Inside was a little pink onesie with a rainbow on it. Still in the plastic. Tags on. Price marked down. It looked like it had been grabbed off some clearance rack last minute. I thought maybe it was from Christy's mom or someone at her church. No. The next day there was a folded piece of paper taped to my front door. It just said, "I miss you. Please talk to me. No name. But I recognized the handwriting. He used to scribble lists on the back of receipts and leave them on the counter. Same weird capital R. I didn't say anything. I let it sit. Then came the crib. A big-ass box left right outside the apartment door. No note this time, just the box. One of those cribs that converts into a toddler bed. All grow with your child or whatever. I googled the model number. It was expensive. Like, why are you dropping hundreds on a piece of furniture when you could have just not insulted our child's existence in front of a table full of people who laughed along with you? I dragged the box inside and left it unopened in the hallway. Christy raised her eyebrows, but she didn't say anything. I think she could tell I was holding back something nuclear. And then the worst part, he showed up in person. I had just gotten off a video call with my insurance rep, trying to figure out how the hell to register my upcoming birth without listing him as the father. The whole thing was hellish, by the way. I was walking downstairs to throw out some trash, and there he was, standing awkwardly by the mailboxes like he was waiting for a package. He was holding a paper bag with handles, some kind of stuffed animal poking out the top. I stopped walking. He looked up, saw me, and flinched. And I swear he said this. I just wanted to give you this and talk if you're not too busy. Like I'm just casually waddling around at almost 7 months pregnant, with nothing better to do than humor the man who made a joke about cheating in DNA tests at a family dinner. I told him to leave. He said, no, just 5 minutes. Just to explain. I said no again. Then he muttered something under his breath, loud enough for me to hear, about how I was being dramatic and cold, and how he was trying to make things right. And that's when I lost it. I walked right up to him, grabbed the bag from his hand, and threw it in the trash bin next to us. I told him he doesn't get to rewrite what happened. He doesn't get to show up with overpriced furniture and toys and act like he reacted badly. And now we're just going to pretend none of it happened. He said he was sorry. Said he was just scared. Said he was overwhelmed. Said he didn't mean it. Said he thought I would get over it. I asked him what exactly did he think I was going to get over. The part where he said maybe the baby wasn't his? Or the part where he stayed silent while his sister called me a joke of a mother? He said it was a bad night, that everyone was drinking, that people say dumb things when they're nervous. I reminded him. No one was drunk. It was a Tuesday. His sister served lemonade and sparkling water. His mom drove home after. There was no alcohol at all. He blinked like he forgot. He tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. And then, and this is where it flipped from pathetic to absolutely infuriating, he said this. I already told my mom we are working it out. She is expecting to come visit when the baby's born. I just thought we could keep this private for now so it's not a whole thing. My jaw actually dropped. I said, you told your family we were back together? He nodded like it was just a normal thing, like that was the logical next step. I slapped him. Not hard. Not out of pure rage, though it was there. More like pure disbelief. My hand moved before my brain even caught up. I slapped him and then I turned around, walked back upstairs, slammed the door, locked it, and sat on the floor for like 10 minutes, just blinking into space. Gets worse. A couple of days later, I got a call from Elizabeth. She ran into Henley. Yes, that Henley. And Henley apparently started talking like nothing ever happened. Said she was so excited for the baby. Said she was glad things were smoothing out. Said she knew Brandon would come around eventually. So now I knew what the crib and the onesie and the stuffed animal were really about. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about the baby. It was about optics. About saving face. About making sure he still looked like the golden boy who got his act together and made it work with his baby mama. I was fuming. So, I did what I should have done the second that crib showed up. I dragged it back down to his mother's house. Yes, I did. I strapped that massive box into Christy's car with bungee cords and I drove it right over. Not even a text. Just knocked on the door and waited. His mom opened it, looked surprised. Oh, hi. You look well, she said, trying to be cordial. I cut her off. Is Brandon here? She said. No, he's at work. I said, good. And then I will never forget this. I pushed the box inside the doorway, walked in and said, just returning the lie he sent me. She looked confused. What do you mean? She asked. I looked her dead in the eye. Your son told you we are working it out. We are not and we will not be. And if you show up at the hospital or at my apartment, or anywhere near this child when she is born, I will file a restraining order so fast it will make your head spin. Then I turned to leave and she said quietly, trying not to escalate, "You are making this harder than it has to be." And I just laughed. Like an actual genuine laugh escaped me. Because that's the thing, right? Women like me are always making it harder, always overreacting, always too emotional or too angry when we don't let people get away with treating us like garbage. I walked out, slammed the door behind me. I haven't heard from him since, not directly anyway. But I know he's still trying to spin the story. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that he's telling people I had a hormonal breakdown. And that he forgives me, even though I lashed out. He's painting himself as the forgiving one. The mature one. I'm not even surprised anymore. Just what he does. Makes a mess, then plays the hero for cleaning it up. But here's the thing. I'm not cleaning it up for him. He can keep his crib. He can keep his stories. He can keep pretending this baby was ever about him. Because the truth is, he never wanted to be a dad. Not really. He liked the idea of it. The role. The image. But the second it became real, the second it involved sacrifice or discomfort or, God forbid, accountability, he folded. And now he's trying to glue the mask back on. But I already saw his face. I'm getting closer to my due date now. I have a plan. I have support. Elizabeth is going to be with me when I go into labor. Christy already packed a bag for the hospital. We are figuring it out. My daughter was born in early spring. She came a little early, but healthy, with wide eyes and a little wrinkle between her eyebrows, like she was already suspicious of the world. Christy was with me in the delivery room. Elizabeth came the next morning with bagels and a balloon that said, "You did it, bitch." I didn't tell him. I didn't tell his sister. I didn't tell anybody from that side. And I did not put his name on the birth certificate. Some people said I was being harsh, that he had a right to know. But he gave up that right the second he turned my pregnancy into a punchline. The second he let his sister laugh in my face and said nothing. The second he decided to rewrite reality instead of apologizing. I wasn't playing games. I was protecting my kid. Anyway, a few months go by. I'm adjusting. Not sleeping much, figuring things out one crisis at a time. Formula stains on every shirt I own. I forget what hot coffee tastes like. You know the deal. And then one night I get a message. Not from him. Not from anyone I expected. It was from Carter. Now, Carter was Brandon's best friend for a long time. They kind of drifted apart a couple years before all this. I never knew why. They were inseparable for a while, and then suddenly they stopped talking. Brandon said Carter got weird. Started blaming him for stuff. I didn't push. I figured it was guy drama. So, Carter messages me totally out of nowhere. Just says, "Hey, I heard what happened. I know it's none of my business, but there's something you should probably know. It might explain a lot." I stared at the screen for a good 10 minutes. I was tired. Baby was sleeping on my chest. I almost ignored it. But curiosity won. I said, "Go ahead." And then he hit me with it. Okay, so apparently back when Brandon was in his early 20s, he got someone pregnant. Not me, not an ex I knew about. Someone he dated for like 6 months. They weren't serious. She got pregnant. She told him and he freaked out. Not just "I'm not ready" freaked out. Like full-on meltdown. He begged her not to have the baby. Said he wasn't cut out for it. Said it would ruin his life. She ended up terminating. And Brandon? He never got over it. But not in a grief way. Not like he was sad about losing a child. More like he felt betrayed that she made the decision without keeping him in control of it. According to Carter, he twisted the whole thing in his head. Convinced himself that pregnancy is a power trap, that women use babies to manipulate, that it's always about power. And ever since then, he's had this thing, like a deep, messed up resentment toward the idea of being a father, like it's some punishment waiting to happen. Carter said he noticed it when Brandon would make these dark jokes about getting tied down, or never trusting a positive test. Said he brushed it off at first, but then it got worse. More bitter. More mean. When I had my miscarriages, that side of him was hidden. He was supportive. Or at least he looked like he was. But now that I think about it, he was more relieved than sad. I see it now. The way he would change the subject. How he never wanted to talk about trying again. How he would flinch when I showed him baby stuff. He didn't want to be a dad. Not even with me. I sat with that information for a while. It made me sick. Not because I didn't believe it, but because it fit. It made too much sense. And yeah, I know people have trauma. I know people have bad experiences and fears and whatever, but he never said a word. Never gave me the chance to understand. He just let me take all the heat. Let me think I was the problem. Then humiliated me in front of a table full of people who would rather laugh than help. So, I decided to return the favor. I posted a photo. Not a soft one. Not a sweet one. Not look how happy I am, or single mom life, or any of that curated crap. It was me and my baby sitting on the living room floor. She had just spit up on me. I hadn't washed my hair in 3 days. She was wearing a onesie that said, "Raised by wolves and thriving." My caption was simple. You said she was a mistake, but she is the only thing I have never doubted. I knew he would see it. How? Because his sister still follows Christy, and Christy had reposted it. And Henley watches everything Christy does like clockwork. And Henley cannot resist sending screenshots to her brother. It's like a compulsion. I didn't tag him. I didn't need to. Less than an hour later I got a message. He said the photo was unfair. Said I was dragging him publicly. Said I was alienating his daughter from him. His daughter. I laughed out loud. I wrote back. You alienated yourself the second you made jokes about DNA tests in front of your entire family. What exactly are you trying to come back to? The baby you never wanted, or the image you are trying to fix? He left me on read. A few days later a letter came in the mail. Yes, a handwritten letter like we're in some period drama. It was from his mother. She said she was concerned. Said she was worried about the long-term emotional impact of denying a child access to her father. Said she knew Brandon had struggled, but that he was trying. Said children need both parents. I didn't respond. I took the letter, folded it up, and stuck it inside a baby book I'm making. Not the cutesy kind. More like a memory archive. Real stuff. Screenshots. Letters. The truth. Because one day my daughter is going to ask questions, and she deserves answers, not excuses. But here's where it gets good. I ran into Henley in public. At the store. I was in the baby aisle. She was buying some soap or whatever. She saw me. Tried to walk past like she didn't recognize me. I called out to her. She stopped. Turned. Fake smile. I said, "Hey." She said, "Hey." Awkward silence. Then she said kind of stiffly, "How is the baby?" I said, "She's great, thanks for asking." She just started smiling when I sing off key. Henley gave this weird half laugh. And then she said, "You know Brandon is hurting, right?" I stared at her. She continued, "He feels like you are punishing him." I said, "He is being punished with the truth." She said, "You don't have to be cruel." I said, "Neither did he." And then I walked away. I don't care if he's hurting. You don't get to treat people like garbage and then cry about the smell. You don't get to sabotage something beautiful and then beg to be part of it once it's convenient. You don't get to mock a pregnancy and then call yourself a father once the photos start circulating. He made his choice, and now he gets to live with it. I am not trying to be the bigger person anymore. I didn't think I'd ever hear from him again. It wasn't something I thought about every day or expected to happen. He just disappeared. No calls. No texts. No asking about our daughter. No "how are you?" Nothing. Total silence. And after a while I got used to it. I stopped thinking about him completely. Not out of anger, just because there was no reason to. He wasn't part of our life anymore. Then a letter showed up. Plain envelope. No return address. Just my name on it. I thought it was junk mail at first, but when I picked it up and looked at the handwriting I recognized it. I hadn't seen it in 6 years, but I knew exactly who it was from. I opened it in the kitchen while my daughter was brushing her teeth, and I had laundry going in the background. I didn't expect much, but it still pissed me off. He said he'd been in therapy. Said he was sorry. Said he'd made a lot of mistakes and was trying to be better. Said he thought about our daughter all the time. Said he knew he didn't have a right to anything, but if there was any way I'd let him just see her, even from far away, he'd be grateful. I read it once, folded it up, put it in a drawer we mostly use for pens that don't work and expired coupons. I didn't answer right away. I didn't even tell anyone. Not Christy. Not Elizabeth. I just sat with it for a while. Not because I was confused, but because I wanted to think it through before reacting. After all these years, he suddenly wanted to show up again. I didn't believe the timing was random. It never is with people like him. They only come back when it starts to bother them. And I wasn't thinking about doing this for him or for me or even for our daughter, really. I just thought maybe it's better if he sees what he walked away from. So I texted him from a number I don't use anymore. Saturday, 3 p.m. Lakeside Park. Bench by the willow. You sit. You do not approach. You do not speak to her. 10 minutes. That's all. He replied an hour later. Said he'd be there. Said thank you. I didn't respond. My daughter, I'll call her Jay, is 6 now. She's smart, curious, always asking questions. Always jumping from one thought to the next. She still doesn't really ask about him. She knows she has a father somewhere, but it's not something that seems to weigh on her. She doesn't feel like she's missing anything. I told her we were going to the park. I didn't say anything else. She grabbed her purple hoodie and asked if we could get ice cream after. That was it. When we got to the park, it was quiet. Not a lot of people around. She ran ahead like she always does, trying to balance on the edge of the path like it was a tightrope. I saw him before he saw us. He was sitting on the bench. Looked a little thinner. Same haircut. Same way of fidgeting with his hands when he's nervous. He was staring at the ground. When he looked up and saw her, he froze. She didn't even notice him. She was too busy looking at a ladybug on her sleeve and yelling for me to come see it. I walked up slowly. Didn't get too close. He stood up. Looked like he wanted to say something. I stopped a few feet away and told him quietly, clearly, that this was his one chance. And he needed to remember what he said all those years ago. I reminded him. He was the one who said he didn't want her. That he said it wasn't his. That he made jokes in front of his family and watched them laugh while I sat there, pregnant with the child he was already rejecting. I told him that I didn't care if he had changed. That it didn't matter what he felt now. He left. He stayed gone. And she grew up without him. And she's fine. He didn't argue. Didn't say anything. Just looked like he was trying not to fall apart. Jay ran back to me, holding a rock that she said looked like a potato. She smiled, told me she wanted to keep it as a pet rock. I said okay. She asked if we could get ice cream now. I said yes. We started walking away, and she waved at him without thinking. Just a polite wave the way she does with strangers. I looked at him one last time and said, "You've seen her. That's more than you earned. Don't contact us again." Then we left. He didn't follow. I don't know what he thought would happen. Maybe he thought seeing her would change something. Maybe he thought she'd recognize him somehow. Maybe he thought I would. But she didn't. And I didn't. He missed everything. 6 years of firsts. 6 years of scraped knees. Birthday parties. Bedtime stories. Weird art projects. Jokes that only make sense to her. 6 years of real life. He missed it all. And now he has to live with that. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't forgive him. I don't hate him either. There's just nothing left there. Not for me. Not for her. He got exactly what he gave us. Nothing. I didn't need to yell at him. I didn't need to cry. I didn't need to explain myself. I didn't need to prove anything. He saw her. And he saw that she's okay. Better than okay. She's happy. Loved. Full of her own ideas and her own world. And he's not part of it. And he never will be. The only thing he gets to hold on to now is the image of her walking away. And honestly, that's enough for me. For those asking, no, I'm not planning to tell my daughter who he was anytime soon. If she asks when she's older, I'll tell her the truth. But for now, she's just a happy kid. And that's all she needs to be. And for the people saying I should have let her talk to him, she didn't ask to. She's not missing anything. She has people who love her and who've been here the whole time. She's not lacking a father. She just never had one to begin with. There's a difference. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand like this for your own peace and your child's well-being? Or have you seen someone try to reclaim a role they abandoned years ago? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think.